This is Beer in Front, part of the Odd Pods Media Network and the Beer Media Group. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. I'll talk to people around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 218, the July 15th edition of Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a proud Odd Pods Media Network member and charter member of the Beer Media Group. Ravenswood On Tap is a great festival. It's happening this weekend, the 20th and 21st of July, in my neighborhood. It's in the Ravenswood neighborhood. It's at Ravenswood and Berteau. I'm going to talk to Amy Czarkowski. She's the events and programs manager of the Greater Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to talk about the festival, the area. Later on, I'm going to have the Beer in Front is going to be from Beguile, one of the breweries of Malt Row, a favorite of mine. So that's all coming up. If you listened to last week's show with Revolution and their Deepwood series, don't forget this week is going to be the start of the Deepwood series. And starting, I believe it's Tuesday, you could go online and pre-order the first round of the Deepwood series. So don't sleep on that. Those should sell out right away. So be on the lookout for that starting this Tuesday. Somebody asking, Dave, you haven't talked about your back in a while. What's going on? I'm still in limbo. Now, going back and forth with the company I work for, my attorneys, workman's comp, no one knows what's going on. They're trying to get me to have what's called like a functional capacity or like work conditioning to one, make sure I could handle what I'm supposed to do at work, which is to lift 70 pounds. I don't feel I can. One doctor thinks I can. So whatever, put me through these tests to see if I can do it. Great. Fantastic. I can go back to work and come up with something else to talk to you about every week. But everything's up in the air. So my attorney's trying to get a hold of the adjuster from Workman's Comp. He's not answering any calls. My attorney's calling the attorney for the company I work for, like, what's going on? The adjuster's not returning his calls either. I call work like, all right, I'm not getting paid. Somebody needs to put me back to work then. If, I don't, and they're like, I don't know what's going on with you. So everything's up in the air. So hopefully by the time you hear this, I'll know more. But it's just really frustrating. Somebody figure out what I'm supposed to do. If my back can hold up and lift 70 pounds, great. That's what I want. I don't want to sit here and not be able to do anything. I want to go back to work. But somebody figure out what I'm doing. It's just very frustrating. And what little hair I have, I'm pulling it out because I'm at my wit's end. So that's enough about my back. Let's talk about beer festivals and beer. In beer and beverage news, Sierra Nevada is adding a cryo-hopped beer to its Little Thing line. Cool Little Thing should be available nationwide as we speak. Allagash is coming out with the new hop water. Plans are right now for this just to be a taproom only thing, but hopefully it'll get wider distribution if it goes well. Bob Peace, the president and CEO of the Brewers Association, is retiring in 2025 once his successor is named. I talk many times about the blurring of lines between non-alcoholic companies that are coming out with seltzers and everything else. Well, now Welch's is coming out with a ready-to-drink vodka concoction. I couldn't tell you the last time I had Welch's or anything Concord grape flavored. So I don't know. What are you going to do next? Have like Capri Sun pouches filled with booze? I don't know. But if you like Welch's and Concord grape, there's a vodka drink out there for you. There's an influencer claiming that Hulk Hogan and his Real American beer, that they dropped her once they found out that she was black and replaced her with a white woman. Now, Hulk Hogan and the beer company deny this, but it's not the first time Hogan's been in trouble for racist action, so you do with that as you will. Athletic has raised $50 million in financing from a private equity firm. Now, if you're younger than 50, you probably don't remember Seagram 7 and 7-Up. That was huge back in the day, a 7 and 7. They're bringing back ads for the iconic 7 and 7. And like I said, it was huge back in like the 70s, maybe the 60s. And I can't tell you the last time I had either a 7-Up or Seagram 7, but I might have to pick this up now. Yuengling is finally going to make it to the Chicago area. Look for that locally here sometime next year in 2025. Leinenkugel's will have their summer shandy available year-round, so don't hoard it in August thinking you're not going to be able to get it. It's going to be a year-round thing. Finally, out of Chicago and the Chicago area, Short Fuse Brewing out of Schiller Park. It turns out that they were the brewery that acquired the Metropolitan name, the recipes, everything else back in January. Now, a lot of people were skeptical, and myself included, when the news broke, because they're not known as a lager brewery. They do hazy IPAs, they do sours, and they've won medals for doing it. I'm not knocking Short Fuse at all, but they're just not really a lager brewery. Guys Drinking Beer talked to Nick Teague, the owner of Short Fuse, and he seemed, according to this interview that I read online, he seemed respectful of the name and the legacy that Metro has in the area. The thing that's weird now, they were supposed to have a release of some of the Metropolitan line at Short Fuse last Friday, but according to their release, due to unforeseen circumstances, it's going to be pushed back until August. So this makes me think that they might not have dialed in the recipes of the great Metropolitan lagers. So we'll see what happens with the Metropolitan name coming out of Short Fuse in Schiller Park.
We interrupt this program to bring you a news flash.
Michael Jackson's ghost seen at a Yankees game.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, now with a shrimp in every bite.
Lil Uzi Vert's head diamond has been sold on the dark web.
Stories like this and more can be found at the Ever Trending Story, a podcast where we peruse the news and write a fun fictional story for you.
Find us wherever you download podcasts and follow us on the socials at EverTrendingPod, and we are proud members of the Odd Pods Media Network.
All right, welcome back. Explore the diverse Malt Row in the Ravenswood neighborhood, home to a variety of award-winning breweries, most within walking distance of each other. That's the best part. No matter your beer palate, you're going to find something to enjoy in this wonderful area. Ravenswood On Tap is happening this weekend on July 20th and 21st at the intersection of Ravenswood and Berteau. Ravenswood On Tap is one of the best beer events of the summer. Right now I'm talking to Amy Czarkowski. She's the events and programs manager of the Greater Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce. Amy, thanks so much for talking today.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me. I'm always excited to talk about Ravenswood and Malt Row.
Now, technically, I'm on the other side of the tracks, like by Western. Is that, you're not going to get upset with me if I call it, like, say I'm in Ravenswood? It's not like a Schaumburg, Chicago thing?
Not at all. We get along with all the neighborhoods around us. And it's so, the lines are so skewed in this area way. You can be in North Center, Ravenswood, and somehow Lincoln Square all at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're all one big family around here.
I mean, I love this area and everything that it has for, as a resident, if you're a consumer, a visitor. What do you like most about the Ravenswood area?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first neighborhood that I ever had a big kid apartment in.
Okay.
I graduated college. My now husband and I got our first apartment here in 2015. And we have always lived in Ravenswood since then. We absolutely love it around here. I love how it's kind of quiet, but it's surrounded by exciting, louder neighborhoods. Obviously, we have breweries, we have bars, we have restaurants, we have awesome music. But if I'm not here, I'm in Andersonville.
Yeah.
And it's so close by. And it's also a great mix of people. There's going to be people who have been living here for decades. There are going to be people who have only been here for a couple of years. There are people who have families. There are single people. And everyone cares about the neighborhood. And I think that's a really special thing about Ravenswood. Everyone is wanting to get involved in greening initiatives. Everyone's wanting to come out to the events and just really support local. And that's fantastic.
How did you wind up getting started with the chamber?
So I actually worked at a local brewery. I worked at Empirical Brewery over at Fox. RIP, miss it very, very much. But yeah, I worked there for about 4 years. I started as a bartender, and I ended up working my way up to being events manager. And then when COVID hit and I no longer could do events anymore, I switched back to bartending for a little bit. And then I heard that the GRCC was looking for someone. And I had been working on tap from the brewery side. So I knew how they operated and kind of what they were up to. And I always thought it would be really fun to work with them. So I ended up moving over there so I can still work with all the breweries and all the other neighborhood businesses that I had relationships with previously, but it's just in a different capacity now.
Yeah, just a couple blocks down the street. There you go.
Yeah.
Malt Row features excellent breweries, including Beguile, Cultivate by Forbidden Root, Demo, Dovetail, Half Acre, Hop Butcher, Is, Was, and Spiteful. Plus, Koval Distillery makes its home here as well. What do we have in the water? What's in the pipes, Amy, that makes this a great area for brewing and distilling?
It's, so much of the wonder of Malt Row can be attributed to the Ravenswood Industrial Corridor. In late 1800s, early 1900s, Ravenswood saw a huge boom of industrial manufacturers moving in and infrastructural development. And so we have all of these gigantic spaces along Ravenswood Avenue. And once those manufacturers started moving out of the neighborhood or just closing due to reception and just changing times, that left us with a range of spaces that are perfect for artists, startups, and then more current kind of businesses like breweries and distilleries. So the spaces around the Ravenswood Industrial Corridor make it really cool for breweries to be able to get the space that they need close to everything else.
Okay.
So it's a really great experience, I think, for the breweries to open up in this neighborhood and just be able to be surrounded by not only that, but also they can, say, yeah, my building, they used to make zip ties here back in the early hundreds. I feel like every brewery has a story like that where you can what exactly it was used for before it was a brewery, which is really fun. Yeah.
Are all of the breweries going to participate in the Ravenswood On Tap this weekend?
Yes, they are. And it's actually a super exciting year because not only we have kind of one slightly newcomer and one completely newcomer. So we have the newcomer is Demo Brewing over here at Ravenswood and Berteau. They just opened earlier this year and they have a relatively small space, but very small and mighty. They have delicious beers. I can see them from my office window, which is really nice. And then Was Brewing is joining us again this year. They were only with us one day last year, but they're going to be with us for 2 days this year. And they're actually working on opening up their own space and tap room over at Ravenswood and Foster in the old Urban Brew Lab space.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
Right where I was over at Empirical. They've been working out a Beguile space for a little while now, but they're going to be opening hopefully in the next month or so to the public to be able to have a whole brand new tap room all to themselves.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I was just at Demo last week with friends of mine that were in from Philadelphia. I'm like, oh, you got to come to the area. So we did the tour, yeah. What else can people expect at Ravenswood On Tap this year?
We have a lot going on tap this year, probably more than any other year, actually. We have a full schedule of bands. They're going to be playing both Saturday and Sunday. We're going to have homebrew tastings from Gnome Brew, which is our local homebrewing shop over at Montrose and Sealy. They're fantastic. We're going to have swordplay demos from the Chicago Swordplay Guild and Goseikan Kendo Dojo. We're going to have self-defense demos from Titan Gym. We're going to have a live painter, John Arrow, who anyone who has been in Ravenswood may have seen Blind Love, the big blue guy at Ravenswood and Berteau, who's doing the sculpture that has a hand in the shape of a heart. That's the same artist. He's going to be doing some live painting. We're going to have plenty of local artists and artisans who are going to be selling their stuff, and obviously a lot of beer and great food.
Yeah.
So can't go wrong with anything.
Are there going to be food trucks there?
We're not going to have any food trucks, but we will have food vendors.
Okay.
So we're going to have plenty of different options. I'm particularly excited for Bad Johnny's Wood-Fired Pizza. We had them and they cart out a pizza oven onto the street, and they make the pizzas right in front of you. They're usually over in, they operate out of the Long Room on Irving Park, which is incidentally my favorite bar. So I very well. And they do amazing pizza. And we're going to have 5411 empanadas, Maldo Italian or Maldo Latin Grill, and a bunch of other different options. And so there should be a little something for everyone, depending on what you have hankering for that afternoon.
All right, that's cool. One thing I'm looking on your website, axe throwing, are we talking like a real axe or like cans of teenage boys body spray that we're going to throw? What is axe throwing?
Yeah, I mean, what better activity to do with a beer than throwing an axe? We will have, so we work with a axe throwing company, and they bring out a trailer that has fencing around it, so you don't have to worry about a rogue axe going into the crowd or anything like that. And tickets are going to be available for purchase at our ticket tents, as well as a part of our Hophead presale bundle that we have on our website. And you're able to get multiple throws per ticket. I believe it's 6 throws per ticket. And it's always a really fun time. It's a great way to just let off the steam of the weekend. Have yourself a beer, throw a couple axes, and then grab a few more beers. It's a great time.
All right. Well, I'm a little leery about this, but I trust you, Amy. So I don't want to get hit by any stray axes.
Of course. Safe first.
All right. I was looking at, there was a Spotify playlist that the Chamber put out that these bands looked really good. And what I liked about them, they all look like they were original bands outside of the one Beastie Boy cover band, which is cool because most festivals are all just cover bands. All of these acts were really good with original music. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Our associate director, Gene, takes care of booking all the bands for On Tap, and he has awesome connections. He knows a lot of people, and people just come to work with us year to year because we are great to work with.
All right.
Must be the case if they keep back. Like you said, we're having She's Crafty, which is Chicago's all-female Beastie Boys tribute. They were awesome last year. Such a great time. So highly recommend them. We have a couple of bands that are headed by people who own or work at other businesses in the area. For example, Odie Snitch, the owner of Ravenswood Tavern, John, that's his band. And Punked is actually Brett from Beguile Brewery.
Oh, okay.
Not only are we working with people who do original music and are extraordinarily talented, but they're also local, and a lot of them are within the neighborhood, which is really
Yeah, it was cool because, I was really getting into it. I just had it on the background the other day, and I'm like, wait, who's this? This is really good. Who's this at? Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing some of those this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really fun. And the sets are going to be about 40 minutes each with 20 minutes to reset. So there's plenty of time to watch all the bands and then go grab yourself a beer and some food before the next one.
Speaking of beer, are any of the breweries going to have a special offering for the festival?
Yes, we are going to have a series of special tappings throughout the weekend. So some of the breweries who may have some special kegs left over, some experimental kegs, that kind of thing. They are going to be releasing them at specific times throughout the weekend. So we're going to have all that information up on our website, and then we'll have signage around the festival, letting you know what times everyone's going to be doing their special tappings. This year, for example, Cultivate by Forbidden Fruit will be bringing their Mulligan Again Double Dry Hop New England IPA as a special tapping for both Saturday and Sunday.
Could you say that 10 times fast?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And Twister.
Yeah.
We should have a few others as well. And so all that information is going to be able to get tracked down on our website.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. That's one of the things I like. And, not just this area, because we had Square Roots last weekend. We have this weekend. Yep. There's always these little cool neighborhood festivals, and there's always seems to be like a special beer release. So it's cool that we're going to have that at Ravenswood on Tap.
Yeah, the breweries they love bringing out special stuff for the neighborhood, and they love getting involved in these kinds of events. They love seeing people out on the street. And what better way to get people interested in visiting your tap room than having something on one of the street festivals?
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I like the most going through the website, the proceeds from Ravenswood on Tap, they're going to help to fund neighborhood projects like Common Pantry. What other neighborhood associations and groups are going to benefit from this?
Yeah. So we, as a Chamber of Commerce, I feel like not a lot of people realize that Chambers of Commerces are nonprofit organizations. So we love not only obviously working with all the businesses in our neighborhood, but also working together with the other nonprofits that are around our area. So this year, we have Friends of Ravenswood School is going to be operating our non-alcoholic beverage tent. So all the proceeds go right back to them. So you can stay hydrated and get your water and juice along with some other different drinks, and all the proceeds go right back to them to make sure that they can help their kids get anything that they need throughout the school year. And then we're also working with the Ravenswood Neighbors Association, Jane Addams Resource Corporation, Reduce Waste Chicago, Chicago Women's Health Center, and like you said, Common Pantry. Yeah. So a lot of people getting help, and a lot of people collaborating, because we can't do this without collaborations and other people. So we're over the moon that we have all these people who are willing to work with us.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you still looking for volunteers, or did you get all the spots filled up?
Yes, we are. We still have a handful of gate volunteer positions that are available. That's just going to be welcoming people in, accepting suggested donations of $10 per person. But obviously it can be $0. It can be whatever the people want to donate to the cause, because all of that money also goes right back to the Greater Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce and SSA number 31 and the Ravenswood Community Council, which are all, those three organizations are the ones that we operate. And that's going to be initiatives, doing more public art around the neighborhood. Like, for example, there's going to be a new mural going up later this year over at Lawrence and Ravenswood. And we want to get as many of these viaducts decorated as possible. We want to put up more sculptures. We want to work with other local organizations to maybe highlight students or other artists who aren't able to do these large public art projects themselves. Just really trying to work as much as we can in the neighborhood and support as many people as we can.
Yeah. What I like about this too is it's easily accessible by public transportation. I would think probably the easiest would be the Brown Line Irving Park stop, but you could also take the Brown Line to Montrose if you wanted to stop and get some Margie's on the way, or you could also take the 80 Irving Park bus, the 78 Montrose bus, and the 50 Damon bus will get you pretty close by. Is there going to be any parking available, or would you suggest taking public transportation or Uber or Lyft?
I mean, obviously, you have to also keep in mind how much you're going to be drinking while you're at our festival.
And these aren't little pours. You're getting 4 big pours, too.
Yeah, you're getting 12-ounce pours. Yeah. If you buy the special stainless steel tumbler that we have, that's a 16-ounce pour. So you're going to be getting a bang for your buck for sure. If you do end up driving, there is plenty of free parking along Ravenswood Avenue, especially north of our festival. You might have to walk a couple of blocks, but what's a couple of blocks on a beautiful day, either before or after a few beers?
Yeah.
have a divvy bike station right at Ravenswood and Berteau, and then we have a bunch of bike racks where you can hook up your bike if you end up taking your bike over.
Also, Ravenswood, it's not just beer. You have the Art Walk in September, which my wife and I love going to. There's events throughout the year, and I didn't notice, like, before I talked to you, I went to the website and was looking. There seems to be 3, 4, 5 events every week going on. Where can folks find out more about what's going on here in the neighborhood?
Yeah, for sure. There's so much to celebrate and highlight in Ravenswood, not only what we do, but also what all of our small businesses and breweries and distilleries are always doing. So between Malt Row, our local artists and manufacturers, musicians, restaurants, everything in between, there's a ton of events that we get added to our calendar. We obviously do a portion of those events like On Tap or Art Walk. Shameless plug, it's going to be on September 14th and 15th. But we also have a full events calendar where our members can go in and add in their own. So that could be Koal tastings. That could be Paz does a lot of different art-related events. And so they're all going to be able to add theirs onto our internal event calendar. So if you go onto our website, there's going to be a link to our event calendar, and you can see all of those. But if you want to see exactly what the Chamber of Commerce is doing, that'll be under the signature events. Okay. And you can all the things that we do all throughout the year.
That's great. Well, once again, if you're free this weekend, July 20th and 21st, head over to Ravenswood and Berteau. You're going to have to check out Ravenswood on Tap. For more information, you could visit ravenswoodchicago.org. I'll include the link in the show notes. Amy, thank you so much for coming on to talk about the festival in the area. Can't wait to see you this weekend.
Of course, yeah. You will, if you are at On Tap and you think that you see just a flash out of the corner of your eye, that's probably me running back and forth getting stuff done.
All right.
Putting on a perfect festival, as perfect as can be for you all.
Awesome. Well, Amy, thanks so much again, and I'll see you over the weekend.
Thanks so much. See you there.
All right. All right. I want to thank once again Amy Czarkowski from the Greater Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce to come on and talk about the Great Ravenswood on Tap. Once again, it's happening this weekend, July 20th and 21st. The beer in front of me right now is from one of the breweries of Malt Row that'll be featured at Ravenswood on Tap. This is Beguile Brewery. This is their Freebird. This is an American Pale Ale, 5.6%. They use Falconer's Flight hops, and it's Freebird. I mean, how do you go wrong with the name Freebird? The artwork is really cool. It looks like that big eagle from the Trans Am back in the 70s, so it's got that good retro vibe to it. I've had this before. I like everything they put out, but this is a classic. So let's bust open Freebird. Freebird has a beautiful, nice golden color, good foam. I love the aroma, big hop aroma right up front. It smells fantastic. Yeah, that's really good. Good combination of the hops and the malt here. Nice finish to it. I mean, it's really just a solid pale ale. I think I get more sweetness than bitterness here, but it's a really good pale ale. It's something that you could just have all the time. 5.6% alcohol, so it's a little higher than some of the other pales, but not by much. So it's a good, easy drinking beer. As I have more of this, and it didn't list the IBUs on the can, I get a little bitterness at the back. But, I mean, I just think this is a good, well-balanced beer, like everything that Beguile puts out. I mean, you can't go wrong with anything that they have there. Great location right there on Malt Row. Yeah, no, that's good. If you see it, put it in the cart. Hopefully they'll have this one on tap at Ravenswood on Tap this weekend. But if you see anything from Beguile, put it in the cart. Or if you're at the festival, put it in that nice stainless steel cup. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Beer in Front. I thank you very much for listening, and I want to thank again Amy Czarkowski, the Events and Programs Manager of the Greater Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce. If you're in the area this weekend, head over to Ravenswood and Berteau and check out Ravenswood On Tap. Great festival. I think you're really going to enjoy it. I'll talk to you next week. Have a great week, everyone. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet.